What radio? The music you want.
With your host, Keys Dan.
Don't do anything stupid.
RadioWhat.com. What's up, party people? It's Keys Dan with RadioWhat.com, DJLittleRock.com, coming to you live and in living color from the Radio What studios. And this is my podcast, What Makes You Famous. It's an extension of the RadioWhat.com internet radio station that I've been running for quite some time. And if you need DJ services, where do you go? DJLittleRock.com. Check availability and get a free price quote, and maybe you can have me, yes, me, at your next event. I like to party with the people. Speaking of partying with the people, today on the program, we have Blake DJ7 Elliott. So you get to look forward to that in the next few minutes. I've known him for quite some time, but I don't know a lot about him. So I'm looking forward to learning more about Blake DJ7 Elliott. This week's shows, it's Thursday, so tonight at 6 p.m., I'll be at the Old Post Barbecue in Russellville, Arkansas from 6 to 9. Yes, it's the Video Dance Party Karaoke Jam. It's family friendly, so bring everybody. It's a great after-school treat. You know, we have some good barbecue, and, you know, if you're over 21, they do have the adult beverages, so if you feel like imbibing, you can do that at the Rab in Russellville, Arkansas. Be there. All right. And that's from, like I said, from 6 to 9. Then on Friday night, we got the Video Dance Party Karaoke Jam at the Rab in Conway, Arkansas. That's my usual Friday night. Come on out to the Rab, 8 p.m. until 2 in the a.m. They got the full bar, the kitchen, the pool tables. There's a pool tournament on Friday nights. So if you want to try to make some money and play some pool, you can talk to Mark or Debbie and get involved with the pool tournament on Friday nights. That's on one side of the room. But then on the other side, hey, it's little old me. I got the stage and the lights and the dance floor, and you're the star of the show. It's Video Dance Party Karaoke Jam. Yeah, I said karaoke. You could sing a song with the people at the Rab on Friday night from 8 p.m. till 2 in the a.m. On the party patio at the Rab, they got shuffleboard, foosball. I think they got 2 foosball tables out there. They got darts, a giant Jenga game, and there's also a giant checkers game. So there's always something to do at the Rab while you're waiting to sing on stage. Be the star. I should never do that again. I really shouldn't. And then on Saturday night, I got a private party. You're not invited. It's an 80th birthday party. I like doing different things. 80th birthday party. I already talked to the birthday boy, Ed, and he said, I want to hear some stuff from the late 50s and early 60s, you know, like the crooners, Frank Sinatra and the like. And I said, oh, yeah, happy to do that. I get to play all kinds of music doing my job, and I get to be with people at their happiest times. Yeah, I get to be a part of that. That's the exciting thing about being a DJ, an entertainer, if you will. You take people out of their troubles, out of their days, and you become, you know, just a great. You get to become part of the great time that people are having. So I'm very privileged and honored to do that. Speaking of privileged and honored, I am privileged and honored to talk to another DJ. That is Blake DJ7 Elliott. I'm going to travel over to his house and go find out more about what makes Blake Elliott a DJ7. Let's drive over to Blake Elliott's house now. Blake Elliott, DJ7. Tell the people, what is a Blake Elliott?
Blake Elliott is, he's a gamer, he's a DJ, he's karaoke, or a KJ as well, and a trivia host. That's
a lot of things, man. A lot of fun things.
That's a lot of things, and I'm trying to be an entrepreneur and a lot of stuff like that. So
yeah. So do you have fun in all those things? Well, I guess first off, we're hanging out in your living room in Conway, Arkansas on this rainy Thursday. And this is the What Makes You Famous podcast. I got Blake, Elliott, DJ7, amongst other things. Take us through the avenues of who you are. We have, let's go with the computer stuff. How did you get into that? And where are you from, first off?
Originally, I'm from Blytheville, Arkansas. Rural small town, Boot Hill, Missouri. I only lived there, until I was about 5-6 years old, and we moved around a little bit, and we finally settled in Conway in about 1997. So. All
right. So, when were you born? What year?
1986.
1986. Man, I was graduating high school. I guess I'm twice as old as you then. So, so 1986, you're in Blytheville, Arkansas. You moved around. Any particular places that stand out in your mind at your young age?
I mean, a couple. I mean, we lived in the places that we moved to just in that short period of time before settling in Conway was Bauxite. For one, Bauxite, I'd made a lot of cool friends. That's whenever I really started getting into like having real close knit friends, and then in Mayflower, my mom was dating this guy that was, I guess you can say, kind of loaded, and he had out in the woods in Mayflower, huge house. It was like 2 stories tall, but it was all like real raised up. You had to walk flights of stairs just in order to get up to the front door. And it was a beautiful house.
Okay, man, Mayflower. And the people I've talked to in Mayflower, I wouldn't have expected. But I guess there's all kinds of people everywhere, really. So you lived a good life in your young age at that point.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
So you get out of Mayflower. I guess you got to Conway, Arkansas. How old were you then?
1997. So that put me right at 11 years old. We moved here actually around this time. It was right after Halloween, and right before Thanksgiving.
And how did you end up here? What brought, I guess, your mom to Conway, Arkansas?
She was just trying to find a place to live that would be a great place for her children to grow up. Blytheville is, and right now it's listed as one of the most crime-ridden places to live in the United States, actually, and it is number 1 on the list of the worst place to live in Arkansas in general. Crime is just so bad there, and she just didn't want us growing up in that type of environment. And Conway at the time was very, very. It's a lot smaller than it is now, and it was just real peaceful, and that's what she really liked. And she started a job over at Little Rock Police Department, and it was also easier for her to commute from here to Little Rock.
I suspect. Man, shots fired on Blytheville. Why do you think Blytheville's so crime-ridden? Do you have any idea? I mean,
it just really is. There's a lot of break-ins. My grandparents actually still live there, and it's one of those places that you have to have a gun. You got to be prepared because, somebody will just walk into your house and they will rob you at gunpoint. Places get broken in all the time, and it's just also a drug-ridden city. It's just bad.
Wow, I didn't realize it was so desperate there. Mm-hmm. I'm sorry to hear that. Clean your act up, Blytheville. For all the things I've seen in Arkansas, I think it's a pretty nice place to live. It's got it's the natural state, and it pretty much lives up to its name. Every time I look either side of the highway, it's greenery, grass. There might be some animals. You could find a deer here and there. Mm-hmm. So living in Arkansas your whole life.
Absolutely. I've never moved out of state. The closest I got was Fort Smith for a while, and I do travel a lot.
So. Okay, yeah. Well, good. Okay, so growing up, your formative years were primarily spent in Conway, Arkansas. Did you develop any lasting relationships in school, and And what extracurriculars did you do in school, Blake?
I always just had stuff to, I don't know, I guess felt to prove. I have, of course, basically an artificial leg, and then my hand and my left hand is slightly deformed, and I always felt like I had something to prove. So like I always did stuff. Like I did football a little bit in high school just to show that I could do it. I was really big into art, and I used to draw, and I used to paint a whole lot. And then I got into choir, and that's kind of where the whole singing thing started, and kind of started developing my voice at that time. And then, after school, it was had a lot of friends, and I mean, I was actually gothic in high school, like super gothic, eyeliner and everything you could just think of. Probably one of the most gothic people that you'd ever seen, and that was me. And but I just got along with everybody. I was so outgoing, and people liked me. So I never had any trouble with bullying or anything like that. It's just I had a really good outgoing personality.
What did you like about the Gothic? Because if you're outgoing and Gothic, what did you like about the Gothic lifestyle? Is it all wearing black, and do you get confused with a vampire?
I don't know. It was the things that I started liking. I guess it started around probably my 6th or 7th grade year. I had seen some of the clothing, and my next door neighbor actually went to a Hot Topic. We didn't even have one anywhere near here. And at that time, Hot Topic, it was a Gothic clothing store. Yeah. And I think it was in Idaho or Ohio or something. And he had brought back some pants and thought it was so cool. And then I had already started getting to where I wasn't listening to whatever my mom was listening to. I got into more of rock music and industrial music, and I like that sound. And I just started kind of like looking at it, and just slowly over the years, I started dressing more in black and finding out outrageous styles, and it just kind of clicked with me, and I just felt that was closer to who I was than what I had been before, and it just made me feel comfortable in my skin.
Actually putting on the eyeliner, is that what you were putting makeup on as well?
Yeah, about my 9th, 10th, and 11th, or well, I would say 9th all the way through the rest of my school year, and then the current, or like just after high school for quite a while. I would steal my sister's eyeliner, and I started putting it on, and I started at that time also growing my hair out or finding any weird hairstyle that I could use. Like if I could use like some hair glue and some like hair freeze spray to make my hair do crazy stuff, I'd do it.
Bold choices, Blake. I mean, what did the kids at school think?
They just always accepted me. They a lot of those people we all came from Carl Stewart, and they knew me through that. The ones from Bob Courtway on the other side, they got to know me real quick and just knew like who I was, and they knew I wasn't kind of like number one shoot up a school, or they knew I wasn't just a loner. They knew that I was outgoing. They knew I had a good personality, and they just kind of accepted it. I mean, it's rare for somebody that dresses that way and is that way to not get picked on. And I really never had a problem getting picked on in high school.
Blake, Elliott, it sounds like a lot of kids just trying to find their way, find their path, and their look, their style, for that matter. So were there a lot of kids in your clique that dressed the same, or did you not go in a clique and kind of just try to get along with other people?
Well, I mean, I got along with everybody, and I guess I did have not really a clique, and I was about the only Gothic person in school. Mm-hmm. There was just one other guy that was that way, but he was that kind of that gothic loner, and we actually never even got along very well. For some odd reason, he just didn't care for me. But my friends were. I had a friend that lived down the street, and a friend that lived right next door to me, and we were just inseparable. And then I had a few people, of course, that sat with us all at lunch, and we'd just sit and talk and all that good stuff. So, I mean, it was just a very small group of us that were just kind of really tight and did stuff together. Like we would ride bikes or rollerblade or something like that after school, or we would go and play video games.
So, from what I gathered from the beginning of the conversation, Mom was a single mom for the most part, or she did?
Absolutely, yeah. My mom was a single mom, worked her butt off. I mean, to provide for my younger sister and I. It was just the three of us, and she worked at the Little Rock Police Department as the head secretary there, and I basically played a father figure to my sister because her dad wasn't there for her. She's my half sister. Uh-huh. Her dad really wasn't there for her, and my dad was all the way back in Blytheville at the time, and both my father and my sister's father, they were very promiscuous gentlemen, and they, my mom just didn't want to deal with that, and she couldn't deal with it, and that's why they split up, and she just took care of us and did the best she could. She'd come home maybe 6:30, 7 o'clock at night, and I'd already helped my sister out. My sister's like 5 years younger than me, and real close family, and my mom just provided the best that she could for me.
Hey, that sounds very responsible of you, man, and it sounds like you had to kind of grow up in that respect at an early age, pretty early on. How's your mom doing now? Are the parents still around?
My dad passed away a few years ago. He was 21 years older than my mom. My dad was essentially as old as my grandparents. He died from complications with diabetes and heart problems. And he was 78, I believe. 78, 77. And
did you ever have any kind of a relationship with him?
I did until the final few years there. He had married this woman that just I don't know, just kind of used him, because my dad he had okay money. It wasn't like he was loaded or anything like that, but he would always help out whenever he could, and we always spent time together. And then, of course, when I got older, I really couldn't spend as much time with my other things that I needed to do and work. And at that time, I just saw him during the holidays. And unfortunately, we had a little bit of a falling out and stuff right before he passed. But, growing up, he was always there for me, and I'd stay at his house. There was no, huge custody battle or anything like that. My mom got full custody, but she was like, whenever you want to go over and see your dad, you can stay as long as you want. And, just come back whenever you're ready. And I would do that. During the summer, I would sometimes go over there and stay for weeks on end, go stay with my grandparents weeks on end, go back home, and everything was good.
Well, that's good. You had different people to get ideas from, and what do you think you take away from your father?
He taught me a lot of good values. I mean, other than not the cheating part that he was doing, because that's one thing that I said I'd never do, and I've always stuck with that. But just he taught me how to drive. He taught me how to run different aspects of businesses, because he was the Mississippi County Sheriff in that area over there for years before he retired, and he also owned a movie store called Video Connections, and Sea Treasures, which was a exotic fish store. So he taught me some aspects of business and how to run a business and entrepreneurship.
Yeah.
So
you did get some values from Dad. Okay.
Absolutely.
Well, and the cheating part, you got it on the opposite side. Like, maybe I shouldn't do that.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can rebel against your parents in certain ways, and that's a good rebel against. All right, good. And then your grandparents. What you said you spent a lot of time with them. What did you gain from that?
Wow, they were absolutely my second mother and father. And my grandmother's still alive. She has a tad bit of dementia. Not really dementia. She had a stroke, and just her mind hasn't been just quite right in that aspect. She worked for Bush's Baked Beans Canning Company that's located in Blyville. And my grandfather, he passed away fairly recently, and I know that no one can see, but I mean, he's the gentleman on the shelf. He was even more of a father figure.
He looks like a dad, man. He's a handsome man there.
Yeah, got
the suit on. Got a very wistful look. Like, hey, I'm going to teach you some things.
Yeah, he worked for the police department and the fire department, and he was the chief of the fire department in Blyville. And I had to go for my disabilities, Shriners Hospital, every 4 or 5 months. I'd have to go up there, and it's in St. Louis. And he was the one that would take me. And I mean, that's a 4-hour trip there, and then another 4 hours back. We'd only be there, and I mean, he was just always there for anything and everything. And he kind of helped keep me in line, and he taught me how to cook things, and he taught me how
a lot of beans.
No, like he was more like he baked things like cinnamon rolls, and he had his own way to making soup, and just some like household things, and that time actually I enjoyed fishing with him, and we would go fishing. He kind of was that big proper father figure in every aspect of life. And if there was anything that I ever needed, he would always be there for me.
Yeah, that sounds like a very good father figure.
Oh, yeah.
Hey, we're going fishing this weekend. Mm-hmm. All right, Dad. That's
Absolutely.
Great. That's
Absolutely.
Fantastic, man. And he teaches you how to cook. Those are good life skills to have. Mm-hmm. It's not good to eat out all the time. I was listening to a podcast, and they were saying something about people are losing some kind of feeling because you're not getting food made for you by the ones you love. It used to be always, hey, mom's cooking, grandma's cooking, even dad's cooking, and now it's get on the phone, boop, boop, boop. Hey, could you bring me something? And these are people that don't love you, and they're preparing your food for you, so you're not getting that feeling of love. And call it what you will, but when someone you love makes food for you, it tastes better. I think that's just me. But Blake, you all right? So you got something from the grandparents, and then from Grandma. What did you learn from her?
She just very kind. She was almost the same way. Just anything. Both of them would literally, if something were to happen to me, would be there in an instant. Doesn't matter how far away they are. Then make sure that I was taken care of. If I got in a bind in any sort of way, she helped me with schooling. She was always good with like math and numbers and accounting, and that's mostly what she did at the Bush's Baked Bean Company. Is she was basically an accountant there, and she helped me with a lot of schoolwork. She helped me with a lot of reading and writing at the time. I learned how to write cursive before I was even in first grade, because she said that was going to be a life skill that I was going to need to know, and if I wanted to know, she would teach me. And she would sit there and watch movies with me and everything, and even to this day she calls and checks on me all the time to make sure that I'm doing all right and how business is going, and if I need anything.
So
Always
what kind of
there.
movies is a young Blake Elliott watching with his grandma sitting on the couch?
I mean, that's the bad thing. I was not very. My parents were very open to whatever I watched, so it could literally be anything. I mean, as long as it wasn't, X-rated.
Right.
I mean, I was.
So there is a line.
Yeah, that was the only line. I mean, rated R movies even, and sometimes she would give that grandmother look, that Nana look, and be like, I can't believe you're watching this.
What are we watching?
Yeah.
What is this? And okay, so how old were you when you first saw your first horror film, for example?
Oh God, I could not even tell you. I had to have been at least 3 years old, and it terrified me. It was the one that stands out, and my mom still makes fun of me about it because I was horrified of dolls forever, but Child's Play and Chucky.
Oh, Chucky!
And I remember even going to St. Louis, and we had some relatives up there, and stay in their house, and they had a granddaughter, and she had a pretty big doll in that room, and I could not sleep in there. It freaked me out so much as a kid that they had to actually take the doll out, so I didn't see it. But I was a huge horror movie buff. Now, my Nana would never watch a horror movie with me, but it was mostly like comedies and stuff that we watched.
All right. Well, what kind of comedies? What was the ones that stand out?
Christmas Vacation. There's a movie called Nothing to Lose, and I mean these and Nothing to Lose actually came out whenever I was a little bit older. I was probably maybe 10 or 11, but it's a Martin Lawrence movie. It's hilarious.
Mm-hmm.
But stuff like that. Home Alone. I remember watching Home Alone with her a lot, and we just always. And since my dad owned that movie store, I can just go and whatever movies are on the shelf, I pick out several at a time. Or my grandfather, he would take me down to the local movie store. I think it was called Movie Magic over there, and they always had 5 for $5, where you get 5 movies for 5 nights.
Yeah.
And I mean, I just binge watch movies, and she would watch them with me until very late at night, and I was a very spoiled child, I guess you can say.
Well, I suspect you had a dad that had a movie store, so that's nice. That's a good perk to be able to watch whatever movies you want. And you had grandparents that loved you, and you had the dad that was teaching you things, and I'm sure he loved you as well.
Oh, yeah.
And I know I'm saving the best for last. Mom, the one that loved you, that took the most care of you and worked hard for you and your sister. She was at the Little Rock Police Department as the head secretary, not just the secretary, the head secretary. If you're going to do a job, do it to the best of your ability. Climb to the top. So that's a hard working person. What did you get from Mama?
Mom taught me every life skill that I could ever learn. And I mean, again, I was spoiled, so I mean, I didn't have a lot of chores or anything, but she taught me how to live, and she taught me, the basics of, at the time, writing checks or doing laundry, doing dishes, and really almost all the other home economics that you need to do in life. And she showed how hard things could be and how to take care of those things. And to this day, I mean, I just had surgery on my left arm about a couple weeks ago, and I mean, she to this day even was there for me for that, and took me to the appointments, and took me and would stay with me during surgery and stuff like that. And she is definitely a person that has always been just right there, and paid for a lot of stuff whenever I couldn't pay for it, and she never neglected anything that I needed, even to this day.
Fantastic. That's a good mama. And so you're taking care of your sister. What's your sister's name?
Bria.
Bria. And what is she into?
She's kind of into games. She was a very big animal person. Dog lover, animal lover, you name it. And I thought she was going to grow up to be a veterinary tech and stuff like that. But now she was a property manager over at the Lynx for a long time, and then now she's manager over at Steak and Shake, and that's what she's doing now. But she hasn't changed since she was a kid. Again, she's a huge animal lover and super sweet, and has a heart of gold, and she's always there for me too.
Excellent, man. Excellent. That's good. And it sounds like your family still tight knit. You get to see. Well, I mean, how often you get to see your grandma? I mean, I know life happens and people have to work, and that ties up a lot of your time. My grandma's all the way down in the Florida Keys, and I call her maybe once a week, and I need to call her more because she's getting up there. She's 80 years old, man. So how often do you get to at least chit chat with her?
I speak to my grandmother at least once or twice a week, and
that's cool.
And she always gives me a call, or I sometimes give a call if I'm not super busy.
Yeah.
But we try to keep in touch, and she always kind of knows what's going on and everything. And we're kind of dwindling down, unfortunately. A lot of my family members are kind of up in age and dying off, and there was not a lot of us to begin with.
Yeah.
So we're just a small family now, but we usually get to see each other once or twice a year, and it's usually the holiday season. So around this time, we'll start seeing each other and stuff like that.
See, that's cool. That's real cool. I had Wendy Forness on the podcast. I don't know, maybe a month ago, and she was talking about the family, and I still don't know the relationship. Full disclosure, I've known Blake Elliott probably for 5 years or more, and I don't know a lot about you. So I'm glad I'm here in your living room, chit-chatting, finding out more, and the people are finding out more. Oh, and note to self and note to the people out there: call your grandparents, call your parents. It means a lot to them. It really does, man. Just pick up the phone, call, talk for about 5 minutes. Put that love into their heart, fill them right up, and then go on their day, man.
Absolutely.
So, excellent. So, you say animal lover. You got dogs?
I have 3.
Oh, okay. What kind of dogs you have?
I have an Australian Shepherd flat coat retriever mix, and she got out of the fence a few years ago, and she had puppies, and I kept those puppies. So they're kind of mutts, but they almost look like German Shepherd mixes. It's real weird.
Yeah.
But my main one is the girl, and like I said, she's Australian Shepherd and flat coat retriever mix, and she just looks like a solid black Australian Shepherd.
Yeah.
And the other ones, like I said, those two, they look like almost more of a German Shepherd.
So big dogs.
They're medium sized.
I didn't get to see them.
They're maybe, I think they're about 45, 50 pounds. They're actually just medium sized dogs. They're not huge.
Well, it's good that you have this nice house that you can put dogs in, because I see people keeping dogs in little apartments, and all right, no judgments. I know people love their dogs, man, but you got to let them have some room, man. And it's good that you have a good house.
That's one criteria I have if I'm looking for a house, and I think we're going to be moving my roommate and I, we're going to be moving in January sometimes, but my biggest thing is it has to have a backyard, and it has to be fairly big. I want my dogs to go out there, have a lot of fun, go play fetch with them, or go out back with them and play with them and stuff like that. So
Blake Elliott. All right, man. So, all right, we're going through the years a little bit, finding out the early days of Blake Elliott, DJ7, finding out what makes you you. You have a good family life. You have a good family that's very tight knit. Starting to sadly, people get old and people pass away, but you have an extended family here in town, and I know I touched upon it. How are you related to Wendy Forness and Brock Forness, for that matter?
Well, no, we're not actually not related.
Oh, okay. I always thought you were.
No, just Brock and I, we started DJing about the same time. I think I'm a year I think I'm a year ahead of him. He's been doing it for 10 years, and I'll be doing it 11 years around Thanksgiving. So, but you know, I call a lot of people my family because, like, if I know that if I need something, that they're going to be there for me. And a lot of my friends are considered family to me. My roommate right now, he's like my biggest brother ever, and we help each other, and we're always there for each other. Every year I have a Friendsgiving, and I also have a Christmas get together, and I put up a Christmas tree. We all exchange gifts, and they're just actually considered family for me.
That is excellent, Blake. Good to have tight knit friends, so close that they're known as family. That's fantastic. All right, through the years, man. Conway, what high school did you go to?
Conway High School, and that's basically Conway is the Conway High School and the junior high. That's all the way through. So
what kind of extracurricular? You said the chorus and football. You did football.
I did
too?
a little bit of football.
Cool.
I took some good computer classes. I was already building computers since I was 14, so
yeah.
I took the computer class because I knew I was going to be able to pass it with no problems whatsoever. And art, different types of art. I took a drawing class, and I took a general art class and stuff like that. So
art. What's your medium? And you still draw?
I don't draw as much as what I used to, which sucks, but. Other than that, like I love charcoal and pastels. For some reason, it was easy to maneuver and work with, and you can create some really nice, almost realistic-looking things with charcoal.
That's cool, man. I mean, do you have any of your artwork that you can display? I don't notice any in the room. No. I notice a lot of movies, so there's a lot of residual to that having the movie stuff.
Yeah. Well, and then. A lot of my artwork is over with my mom and stuff like that. I do tend to move quite a bit, so I figured I'd just let her hold on to it. And then...
well, Blake, I mean, we can hold off. I mean, it looks like you got some people that just walked in the room.
Yeah.
This is real life, man.
Oh, absolutely.
You're on the What Makes You Famous podcast. We're talking to Blake Seven, and 3 other people just walked in.
Yeah, this is my other roommate. This is also, his name is Blake. This is Blake Hall.
That's a lot of Blakes, man.
I know, right? And then there's Taylor and April. They are our new roommates. We're letting them stay here for a little while. They needed a place to go, and open our home up to them. So
that sounds great, man. You know, hey, I've needed places to stay over the years myself. I was one step away from living in my car for a while. So yeah, it's good that you have friends that you can at least couch surf or what have you.
Oh yeah. I mean, if somebody's in need, I'm usually always there, and that's kind of like with them. They had some trouble with a last roommate, and they needed a place to stay immediately, and I was like, well, let's figure something out. We had kind of a storage area that was kind of like an extra room. It was supposed to be a laundry room. We just never used it as one, and we just kind of maneuvered it and kind of like another room so that they would have a place to stay and a place to kind of get back on their feet. And I'm always trying to, be there for people. If somebody really needs help, I usually never turn it down. So
that's cool, man. Want to help me move next week? I'm just kidding.
I can't lift anything right now. I'm still on that surgery thing.
Yeah, all right, Blake Elliott. All right. And so after you got out of high school, what did you end up doing?
I worked for telemarketing for a long time, and did Heritage, which was we called for different donations and stuff like that. Hated it, absolutely hated it. And
I've heard of half of Conway worked for Heritage at some point or another.
Because they will hire anybody. I mean, they're shut down now. I think there's only the corporate office. But yeah, it was just easy to get into. But it was a big stepping stone because then I had call center work. So I ended up working for ICT for a little bit, which I think it's now called Sykes.
What is that?
they are an outsourced company where, like, let's say, like I work for them, but I worked with Washington Mutual Bank as basically a subcontractor. I guess I don't know really what they call it, but I took calls for mortgages and the escrow department. And I did that for a little bit, and then decided...
Well, that sounds pretty responsible that you have to have these people's information. And
oh, yeah, absolutely.
So that could be very sensitive.
And learning about it, that was kind of neat. And I mean, I was, still kind of fresh out of school, and I got an offer to go to AT&T. So I jumped ship.
The phone store?
It wasn't the store, it was a call center. We have a call center in Little Rock. And, I did AT&T for a while. They paid a little bit more, and they had better benefits. So right after that, I decided to go to Verizon. They offered even more money for me to do the Verizon call center, and they had just switched over from Alltel at the time.
What year was this?
That would have been 2008.
You graduated when?
05.
05. So those 3 years.
Yeah, those 3 years was just nothing but call center work, and I loved it. And I figured I would try to go back to school to see if maybe I wanted to do something with my art.
Okay.
And game design. And I'm a huge avid gamer and stuff like that.
When did that start?
Gaming, I've been gaming since I was like 3-4 years old.
First console?
I mean, my first console was the regular Nintendo, and I still have my original Nintendo and original Game Boy from 1989. So,
all right.
But I thought I was going to do game design, and I was like, okay, I like computers and art. I can do computer art. And do stuff like that with the game design, and screwed a lot of people over, but it was ITT Tech, and I was unfortunately one of those people. The call centers, they just don't work around school schedules, unfortunately, and that was terrible. And that's about the time when, about 2000, the end of 2008, 2009, I started doing the whole karaoke thing.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, well, this is supplemental income until I can find something else, and I can go to school.
Well, how did you get into the karaoke thing?
I went through a huge breakup. I was with this girl for 7 years, and kind of high school sweetheart type thing.
Yeah.
And I just kind of became a recluse and a hermit, and I was going to school, and then, of course, like I said, the whole call center thing wasn't working out, and my very first girlfriend, she, at the time, she's like, you need to get out. She's like, just come with me, and we'll go out together, not as a date or anything like that.
Yeah.
We'd just go have fun together. So she brought me to the VFW, and at the time, a guy named Mark Spencer was running it there, and I'd never sang karaoke. And she said VFW, and I was like, okay, bunch of old people. This is a great way I'm going to spend my night. And then I go in there, and of course, it's a lot different than what a lot of people think whenever they first hear VFW. I mean, it was packed to the brim, dance music, cheap drinks, and I mean, I basically, just right from old enough to drink. So, party days, and we had a good time. About 2 or 3 weeks later, started singing karaoke, and might sing one song a night, and then I started going by myself.
Right.
Maybe once, twice a week, to start kind of getting out more and meeting people and actually be outgoing again. And just one day, he came up to me and he was like, you have a lot of personality to do what I do. Would you maybe like to have me train you and start maybe doing some nights here and some other places? I got some other places that needs a DJ right now. And I was like, well, kind kind of need extra money, and I'm in between jobs right now because I'm going to school, and this would be a perfect opportunity. And sure enough, it was, and been doing it ever since.
Yeah, it's a great way to get out, meet some people, and that's what you did. So you broke out of your shell. Did you right away start meeting people, and did you hang out outside of the karaoke, or were you still mostly recluse outside of the karaoke?
No, like whenever I started, like getting out more after my girlfriend and I had split up, and after I started kind of going out to karaoke, that's whenever I started coming back out of my shell and starting to be outgoing again, trying to meet people. And like I said, that karaoke at the time was my outlet, and it was something more to do than go out. Instead stay home and play video games all day and, not go out and meet people. It was also a way for me to, also get over my ex.
Yeah.
And I was new to the dating scene as an adult, because dating as an adult is way different than how it is in high school.
How was your dating life in high school?
Well, I mean, I had basically the same girlfriend all throughout. The only other girlfriend I had was Amy, and we dated for about a year and a half, almost 2 years, whenever I was like 14. But right after her, like, I was dating this girl named Jana, and like I said, dated her for 7 years. The rest of high school and right into adulthood. I didn't know how to meet new girls or anything, and I was kind of down about everything, and getting out and going to do karaoke, and I found out that I could meet people. I met some awesome people at the VFW. I started going out to other karaoke shows to see how that was, and meeting even more people.
Yeah. So what other shows did you end up going to, or who was the KJs, if you remember? There was only two in town. I mean, it was Mark Spencer and Brian Spencer, the two brothers, Spence for Hire, and In the Corner Entertainment. And then there was Just Try It Karaoke. And those were the only two at the time, before you came along. Yeah. If it wasn't me going to the person that I ended up working with, which was Mark, I would go to Tiffany's shows, which was Just Try It at the time. So cool. So, all right. Did you ever go back to college?
Just only for the game design, and the bad thing is with ITT Tech, they didn't transfer credits. Everything that I did in college, I lost.
Oh.
Luckily, the student loans were forgiven because they claimed they were accredited, all this stupid stuff. But I've been doing this for so long, and I personally just don't want to do anything else anymore.
Did you ever do anything with the game design at all, or?
No. And actually, to be honest, I didn't. I started not really caring for it.
Okay.
And I thought I would. I was going to switch over to multimedia, which would have been like websites, and I was wanting to do maybe business logos and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But that never happened, and if I ever did go back to school, it would definitely be something with music.
Oh, very cool. Okay.
And I've gotten to where I love running mixers, and I always say that I'm a DJ, but really it's like we're not really DJs, we're sound engineers. Like,
well, you got to be everything now.
Yeah, and I run a mixer. I can run bands, and that's mostly what you do. You mess with the equalizers and sound settings, and that's primarily what we do. It's not like we're disc jockeys where we're actually spinning discs and doing some cool effects. I mean, we do every once in a while, but a lot of our stuff is more of sound engineering than anything.
Yeah, nowadays you have to be the promoter. You have to be the DJ, the MC, the lighting, the sound design, the promoter for the show. Mm-hmm. You got to be it all. When I first started in '86, it was DJ Jay and Dancing Danny G. We were a two-man team. I was the MC, he was the DJ. Then I became the DJ, and he was the MC. Right. So we'd switch back and forth. Now you got to do everything.
Right.
You're setting up, and you're the roadie. You're setting up and tearing down. It's not like you can walk into a club and hey, just play the music and then walk on out, and somebody else will take care of that equipment. Nope.
Right.
You're doing it all. What was your first show that you did on your own after Mark Spencer trained you?
I mean, and it was Mark and his brother Brian.
And Brian.
I can't remember if it was the VFW here in Conway, or it was either the VFW here in Conway, or it was a place called the 365 Pub.
Okay, I know that one. Way down south, down in almost to Maumelle, down Mayflower.
Yeah, it's right between Maumelle and Mayflower.
I've done that place before.
Polarm is what it's called. But yeah, like I think it probably was 365 Pub, and it was on Sunday nights.
Okay.
And I was a deer in the headlights, because the way that they basically taught you is come to the shows, watch what we do, and then out of the blue, he was just like, this does this does that. It's already set up for you. Have at it.
Yeah.
And he'd just be right there in front of you, and he'd just watch you, and he would kind of either point at his ear to raise the music up, or he'd point at his lips to turn the music up, and like he'd be pointing up or down. And
okay.
So there was that, and then like if you didn't sound right on the microphone, he would come up and talk to you for a second. I was terrible on the microphone. For whatever reason, like I had done so much telemarketing and customer service work, figured I'd be good on the microphone. Really wasn't.
Right.
And then I think I went home that night and I was like, well, I need a voice. So I decided it's like, okay, well, what kind of voice should I have? So I, at the time, I used to watch wrestling, and I kind of went with that wrestling announcer's voice, and that's kind of what stuck, and it kind of almost then turned into more of my own type of almost radio voice, and I've kind of just gone with that over the years, and it's worked out. So. Well,
yeah, telemarketing gives you the ability to talk. You could talk to people. Whenever I'm on the mic, I talk to people. You mentioned Just Try It. Kirsten Tiffany used to say I talk too much, and that's your opinion.
Exactly.
Most of the time I got the microphone. I could be a stand-up comic up there. I could tell some jokes. I could give some information. The drink specials. How do you feel when you're up on the mic doing your thing? Are you talking to the people, or are you getting things off your mind?
Most of the time, whenever I'm talking on the microphone, it's usually I want to be as quick and precise to get more and more singers up as possible. But sometimes you just can't do that all the time because you just sound monotonous and like a robot. So sometimes, if it's a person I know, I'm going to joke around with them every once in a while on the microphone. Or, I'll give a shout out to the bartenders or the place that you're at if something's going on. Or just, crack a joke here and there. I try not to speak too much on the microphone because my whole thing is, like, I don't want the show about me. Mm-hmm. I want it about them. And I do want to be a personality. I want people to know me as well. But I try to mostly leave everything else to my audience.
Yeah, I mean, well, when you're there, the people are there to be entertained. Yeah, they want to forget about their troubles. Some of them are there to be in the quiet, and hopefully they're sitting at the bar furthest away from you, because it's not going to be quiet over here next to me. I got the speakers next to me. If you want it quiet, go over that way a little bit.
Right.
But just know that over here, it's going to get a little loud, and it's going to hopefully get fun. And I don't think I've ever been to a DJ7 show. I don't remember doing that. I don't know why.
Actually, yeah, I don't think you ever actually fully sat it. You've come. Well, no, I take that back. You come up at the VFW once, and you've sang a couple of times.
You were there. It was you.
Yeah.
Oh, I had a night off. I go see Blake DJ7. Yes, I remember that now.
Yeah, it was like maybe once or twice. It wasn't a lot, but it was once or twice. So yeah, it's been a long time.
Yeah.
But you've stepped in a couple times.
So working for In the Corner Entertainment, the Spencers, did you have to get your own equipment, or was this stuff that they lent out to you?
They provided everything for me, and they really took me under their wing. Mark, they were hard to work for. We'll just say that.
Okay.
Mark was a little bit level-headed. Brian could have been, he was very hard to work for. We'll just say that.
Is it that they wanted things a certain way, and if it wasn't that way, they wanted it?
Yeah, they butted heads so much, and I learned one thing. I promise you, I was fired from them probably at least 6 times. It was crazy. And they would fire me, and then they hire me back before the next show, and it's like, okay, you can have the job back. Because I'm really bullheaded. If I think that something is wrong, I speak my opinion, and I tell why it's wrong. And if it's something that I know that the owners of the place are not going to like, I'm not going to do it, because I'm not going to jeopardize the show, period.
Yeah.
Sometimes they never understood that. But, man, they were just so difficult to work with. But they did provide all the equipment to me.
Good.
And if something ever broke, they'd always fix it. I mean, immediately. If it could be in the middle of the night, and they'd either have someone run something to me, or if they were off, they would bring it immediately if I had troubleshooting. And that's one thing that they always taught me, and that I've also kind of learned over the years, just doing things. You're going to have stuff that happens, and you got to do something on the fly. If your screen goes out, improvise. Use your same computer monitor and just turn the computer monitor around so they can see it too. It's like, hey, sorry, the screen went out, but at least we can still do our show tonight. I've never had to cancel a show because a cord went out or something. I've always just improvised. They always taught me that. And, I got half pay for the night for my shows. So, like, if it was a $250 show, I make $125, or if it was a $200 show, I make $100, and that was the going rate back then.
Good.
So,
well, I mean, that's the thing about working for somebody else is, they take care of all the equipment, but you might not make as much. But having an agent like that, you may get more shows, so you might have the volume. And you're talking about getting fired from. Man, you reminded me. I've gotten fired from so many radio stations, and the next morning about 6 a.m., the program director's calling. Where are you at? You fired me yesterday. Oh, I was just kidding. Come on back in.
Right.
We need you, buddy. Come on in. So yeah, I could see that, man. You're not a what is it? I guess you're not a real broadcaster unless you get fired from a radio station, and mostly it was format changes. But okay, so you butted heads a little bit. Mm-hmm. And how long did you work for In the Corner Entertainment?
All the way up until they wanted to get out of it. Brian first, he moved off, and he moved back to California. He just got so sick of Arkansas, he wanted to go back to his home. Mm-hmm. And then Mark's mother kind of was getting pretty ill, and they decided to move to Oregon together. And Mark actually treated me like a son. He always thought of me kind of like a son. So he decided to give me the business. And he was like, I know you're not going to use my name or Brian's name on it. So he's like, come up with your own name. And all I asked for is from just 2 of your shows for an entire year, give me half the pay. All the other shows, you can get your full pay. That means you're going to make extra money. But 2 of those shows give me half pay, and I will give you all my equipment. I will give you all of my karaoke, all the discs.
What?
And he was like, we'll just call it even.
Wow.
And so I did that for an entire year. I gave him every week. I had his bank account information. I would drop off the deposit. And I bought his entire DJ stuff, everything that he had, and all his karaoke discs.
Very enterprising, man. And now you have your own karaoke business. What year was that they left?
They left 2012, I believe. So I've been doing it since 2012, and I worked with David Macklin for a while because actually Brian sold his part of the stuff to David Macklin.
Okay.
And David couldn't do it anymore, so then I bought the rest of the stuff off of him for fairly cheap. Just I think it was about $2,000. He didn't have that much. I was the one dealing with a lot of stuff, anyways, and I've been running ever since. For a while there, I kind of got burned by a couple of DJs that I didn't care for, and I got a little burned out there for a while. So I stopped doing a lot of karaoke, and I started doing trivia hosting instead.
Well, you don't have to name names, but burned how?
They either wouldn't pay me or they stole my equipment, and it was just one of those things. I guess being a new owner, you just kind of read people wrong, and
Wow.
it just happened, and that's one reason I got a little burned out on karaoke, and I stopped doing a lot of karaoke for a while. Like I might have had one show a week in Little Rock, and starting next week, I'm going to be up to 4 shows a week. So,
Hey, all right, man. That's great. So from 2012, you changed the name of your company because I guess the Spencer's rule was not to use their name, come up with your own name. What'd you come up with?
That Karaoke Company.
Okay. All right. After the 70s show, maybe?
No, it was actually a joke. I didn't know what to call it, and I wanted it to be catchy, and I wanted it to kind of put like almost a brand, and I just thought about it. It's like, so what are you going to call that karaoke company? And I was like, that's exactly what I'm going to call it. I'm going to call it That Karaoke Company.
That's so funny.
It stuck, and it worked.
That's how I named my radio station. Hey, what should I name our radio station? What? Yeah. Okay.
That'll work.
No, and then there was another reason. Is on the red carpet down in Miami, I used to have my little audio recorder, and I'd say, hey, could you say your name? And you're listening to Exoto 105.5. Hey, it's Enrique Iglesias, and I'm listening to... What? What? Yeah. So I got a lot of that. And so, yeah, it's funny how names come. And that was very flippant. What are you going to name that karaoke company? That karaoke company. Did you come up with a logo with your artistic background?
Kind of. I just wanted to keep it very... I just wanted to keep it kind of simple. Since it was a simple name, I knew I needed it very simple. So... pretty much everything is in lowercase letters, and it's blue and white, and it just says That Karaoke Company, and then a small logo of some headphones and a microphone that is right behind karaoke in the lettering, and it's just like, just straight lettering, nothing real fancy. I never wanted to do anything like that.
Keep it simple, man. You're talking about your lowercase letters. Did you know that Facebook is turning into Facebook? All capital letters now.
Yeah.
And I think Twitter's going the same way.
Yeah. It's kind of
or weird. Instagram. Because they're owned by them, the same people. So just those simple little things from lowercase letters to uppercase letters.
Yeah.
Could change your whole view on certain things. So That Karaoke Company, been going strong since 2012. Tell me about trivia nights. I haven't had the chance to go to a trivia night, but I figure it's something like Trivial Pursuit, or do you get a bunch of cards? How do you do that?
It's kind of cool, and I needed some extra money last year, and I thought, why not? They pay $60 a night, and it's 2 hours at most, and I was like, why not? And less
equipment to lug in too, right?
Well, I don't really have to bring that much, and it's literally one speaker and my mixer and a laptop computer, and that's it. Just hook it all up. And funny thing is it's Challenge Entertainment, and they've been around just about as long as I've been doing karaoke. The owner used to come to all my karaoke shows and started at 365 Pub. His name is drawing a blank. Something Jackson.
Oh, he's going to be listening to this.
I know,
He's steaming
gonna
now.
listen.
Come on, Mr. Jackson.
Yeah.
What's your boss's name, Blake? Come on.
Well, Jonathan Jackson is his son is who I've been dealing with. But either way, he's going to karaoke all the time, and yeah, I can't believe I just drew a blank. But either way, I was like, for some extra money, I might try this out, and I get a hold of him through his email, and he's like, yeah, I actually have a trivia that needs to be done tonight. Can you do it? And I was like, I don't know how to do it. He's like, it's real easy, and he gave me a complete rundown in an hour, and I went and did it. It was over at Brewski's. And I mean, literally how it works is you get these answer sheets that are, little tiny, almost business card size, and there's a score sheet that you can get that's a bigger piece of paper, and there's 6 rounds, a halftime, and then a wager of death. But it's split up into 3 categories per round, and you have point values of 2, 4, and 6. So if you really know that the question or the answer to the question, you'll put a 6 down, and it's all score based. Once you use that number, you cannot use it for the rest of the round. And then at halftime, we'll make sure that we kind of go over where everybody's placed and everything, and then the very end of it all, you wager 0 to 20 points for a final question where you have to put things in order from like oldest to newest on like a timeline type thing, and it's way more strategic than I thought it was going to be, and a lot of people are really competitive about it too, and they give away like gift cards and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So it's really neat, and I didn't think that I would even really enjoy a lot of that. I'm not a big trivia person, but it's actually turned into like one of my favorite things to do. And
it sounds
great.
like a lot of fun. It's going to build up your knowledge base at the same time. It's like watching Jeopardy.
Absolutely, it really does. And I mean, sometimes it's like over stuff that you might have learned in high school.
Sure.
Oh, but then sometimes it's like pop culture stuff that's going on in the world today.
Right. I mean, every once in a while, I'll break out some Trivial Pursuit cards and just start asking questions of people, just to break things up, especially on theme nights. We had a 50s night, and I think I broke out my Elvis Presley Trivial Pursuit cards, and and I was just throwing out questions about Elvis, and he was like, oh yeah, I remember that.
I used to do that. I used to do that for the VFW when I was there. I do like some trivia questions, and I myself, I'd buy a drink to whoever could come up with the answer first.
How cool is that, man? Yeah, I'd give a buck or whatever. Here you go. You get a buck. You get a buck. You get a buck.
Yeah.
Hey, those add up. That's pretty good. That's fantastic, man. So trivia night. How often do you do that?
Well, currently I do it 3 nights a week. I do Taylor's Made, and then I do...
What days? Go ahead.
Oh,
you can promote your shows, man.
Yeah, Taylor's Made I do on Tuesday nights in between Mayflower and Conway. I do
nice
King's.
Place, man.
Oh, it really is great food. I do King's on Wednesday nights.
Nice place.
Yeah, and these are they all start at like 8 o'clock. So, and they last an hour and a half, 2 hours. But I do King's on Wednesday nights, and then Zaza's here in Conway. I do that on Thursday nights.
They're a nice place, man.
But that's going to be starting to change next week, and I got to call actually Jonathan today because I just got another show for karaoke that's going to be starting on Thursday nights.
Oh, okay. Promote your shows, man. Tell me what's going on with Blake, DJ 7, Elliott now.
Yeah. Well, starting next week, we will be doing Hogs Blues Cafe on Thursday nights for karaoke and live dance. They're going to have myself doing karaoke, and then the place is huge. It's in North Little Rock, right off of JFK, and they're also going to have 2 more rooms with 2 different types of DJs.
Wow.
So we're going to be doing that. Not sure on the times yet, probably about 7 to midnight. And then we have the Golden Voice that we do at Hogs Blues Cafe on Friday nights, where from 7 to 10, you can come up, sing a song. Top likes on Facebook, on their Facebook page, could win $100 cash, and we do that every Friday. And then off of Stagecoach on Saturday nights, I'm at a place called the Shady Lady. It's 7 to midnight, and it used to be called Tina's Just One More, and they just recently changed the name with new ownership. So
very cool. So that's all your shows right now.
Currently, yeah.
And then where do people find you on social media? How do they connect with you?
Just use Facebook, but it is just type in That Karaoke Company, and you'll pull up the page, and I put up my shows on there and anything that's relevant to it. And every now and then I'll post a meme or something. So
okay, what kind of memes you posting?
Well, I mean on there, anything to do with karaoke or music related.
Dig it. Well, Blake Elliott, you're also known as DJ7. Mm-hmm. Why DJ7? Do you want to delve into that a little bit?
It's always been a lucky number for me, but it started with couldn't come up with a DJ name, and since it was my lucky number, and I only have 7 fingers, if a lot of people don't know.
Yeah, we could delve into that if you want. And
but I was like lucky number 7 and 7 fingers, and I mean I already had it tattooed on me because of my favorite number, and I couldn't come up with a DJ name, and at the time Mark Spencer, he was like, we gotta have a DJ name, you just can't go by Blake forever, and I was like, fine, 7, just go with the number 7. He's like, just the number 7? I was like, well, you can spell it out, I don't care, and it just stuck, and DJ7 is kind of how all that started. So
Blake Elliott, DJ7. So, I mean, you want to tell people the advantages or limitations or disadvantages of being a 7-fingered man? And you say you have a problem with your leg too?
I have an artificial leg. I was born without a fibula, and I'm trying to think of bones here.
Damn bones. Tibia.
I think it's the tibia and the ulna in my arm. But anyways, my leg, all I have basically is a shin bone, and caused a height difference, and I was going to walk crooked, so they amputated my foot whenever I was 11 months old, and they fitted me with a prosthetic leg. I mean, otherwise I might have been wheelchair bound. I wouldn't have been able to get around. It was the best option for me, and I'm glad that it happened. But I mean, I really don't have limitations. Mm-hmm. I did break my arm back in December, and how
did that happen?
That's a funny story.
Please.
Well,
I like funny stories.
It was a karaoke night, and we were at a post wedding party from a best friend, and of course, at the bar that I was at with him, I could get away with almost anything. So I was dared to give the dude a lap dance, my best friend, and he moved and I fell, and I actually fell on my arm, and I was actually DJing that night, and I felt it, and I was like, I think I just broke my arm.
Lap dances can be dangerous.
Lap dances can be dangerous. I literally put my arm in my shirt, made a makeshift sling, and I finished that night, and then I had people help me carry my equipment out and everything, and my wife at the time had to take over. I turned white as a sheet. I felt sick. I was like, what am I going to do? And I came back in 30 minutes later, finished the show, and went to the ER literally the next day, and they're like, yeah, broke your arm. And then kind of grew back wrong, and I had to have surgery not even 2 weeks ago. Other than that, nothing stops me. I always figure out a way to do stuff and make sure that it works right. So like I got really good balance with the hand. It's not very mobile, but I learned how to use really good balance, and that's another great thing about my parents is they always taught me to be normal, and that you can do anything if anybody else can if you just put your mind to it. And it might be a little bit different of a way to do it, but you can still do it. And I've always applied that, and I've never had any trouble whatsoever with the whole, carrying things around, setting up or tearing down, everything.
Blake Elliott, DJ7, you just said it all in that story. You broke your arm, and the show must go on. You kept going, man. You're not going to disappoint anyone that hires you, anybody that has you out for their event. By hook or by crook, you're going to get that show done, and then you'll take care of whatever ails you, man.
I usually do.
And you've already said, if things, wires break, if screens go down, you're going to make things work, man. You're going to make things happen. So you have that ability, and thanks in part to the Spencers for teaching you how to put things together. Did you learn anything else about sound and DJing anyplace else, or are you going to different shows, watching people, or where did you learn?
The Spencer brothers, they really taught me a lot of what I know, and mostly how the business works, and how a lot of sound engineering works. And at the time, I was also being trained by a guy that had been doing it a little bit longer. His name was Kel Richardson, and he really helped me. And Chris Ford and Rick Lawson, they had also been DJs before, and they really helped me. And then over the years, I would watch different shows, kind of see how things were set up, or how one thing sounds. And if sometimes I didn't like how that sounds, I would kind of take a peek at their mixer every once in a while. And I just started kind of self-teaching myself and saying, oh, okay, well, this does this.
Yeah.
Especially on slow nights, like you start experimenting with the different sounds and how things sound in one area to the next, and you find out how to equalize a room that way. And you can I can just go into a room now and usually be like, okay, well, higher ceilings, I need to bring this up or bring this down, and just kind of go from there, and then just play with it. And then after a couple weeks, I know exactly how things need to be set up for a room, and I know what every button does at this point. So
yeah. I'm sure as a karaoke jockey, you want to make people sound the best they can sound.
Absolutely.
This is karaoke. It's not The Voice or American Idol. Sometimes we got people that really are just there to have fun, man. That maybe they not necessarily want to be singers on stage in front of 50,000 people. They just want to come out and sing a song for the people. And you put a little echo on it, adjust the sound a little bit, make them sound just right?
Exactly. I pride myself on sound so much, and I always try to make it sound the best that I possibly can.
Excellent, man. And you could set up for bands. What other services do you offer, DJ7, Blake Elliott?
I do some wedding work. I've done a lot of DJing for weddings and emceeing for weddings. I've ran a lot of acoustic acts and some bands. Not like huge full set bands, but small set or just acoustic shows, some open mics. I ran a comedy night once.
Hey, cool.
And it's kind of a lot of the same, but there's some aspects that could be different, especially like whenever you're dealing with plugging guitars in and microphones and stuff like that. But it's fun time though, and I'm always learning. I'm always trying to see what else I can do in this field of work.
Yeah, there's always those events that they hire you out for, maybe a wedding, and the father of the bride comes out and says, hey, her brother plays guitar, can he plug in? Mm-hmm. And you gotta make room for that, right? So that's something that you can do on the fly.
Yeah, and that's whenever those skills will definitely come in handy.
Sure enough, man. Well, I've taken a lot of your time. You got some people in the house. Looks like we're here in the common room, so we've kicked them out to the kitchen. And any other things you want to tell the people? Blake Elliott, DJ7?
Not that I can really think of. I went over a lot of stuff, so it's definitely a lot of aspects of my life. So
it's good, man. I learned a lot more about you, and hopefully the people learned where you came from, how you started, what makes Blake Elliott, man. DJ7. Any last words for the people? Come up with something that gives you food for thought.
Always follow your dreams and just never give up in life. If you have something that you want to at least try and do, make sure you get out there and do it, because life is short.
Well, there you have it, party people. Blake Elliott, DJ7. I'm sorry, let me say it the right way. DJ7. Yeah, I like doing that. Every time he comes out to one of the karaoke shows that I'm doing, and it's not that often because the man is busy. The man is working. He's a working entertainer himself, so he hardly gets to go out to any of my shows. Just as you see, I didn't even remember. I had been to one of his shows, and he did jog my memory, and I do remember going to the VFW. That was probably the first time that I ever went to the Conway, Arkansas VFW, and he was there doing the DJ thing. Yeah, that was years ago. My goodness. DJ7. Thank you so much, Blake Elliott, for being a part of the show and telling your story. You did have an interesting life, man, and an upbringing that made you you. That's fantastic. Everybody's got a story, and you, Blake Elliott, had a story. If you want to tell your story on the program, I encourage you. Give me a call at 501-470-6386 or email info@radiowhat.com. That's it for this edition of What Makes You Famous. It's Keys Dan with radiowhat.com, DJLittleRock.com. Peace. I'm out of here.
Radio What? The music you want with some great quotes. The good parts of a person's life are the nameless, unremembered acts of kindness and love they perform. Anonymous. The music you want. RadioWhat.com. This is Keys Dan.
And this is Shelly G.
And you're listening to
Radio What?
.com.